What's up, YouTube? This week I am going to be reviewing Codenames. So Codenames is sort of a party-style game where two teams try to figure out where their secret agents are on this grid, and whoever finds all their agents first wins the game. So let's get into the overview. Alright, as I said, you split this game into two teams, so it's recommended to have at least 4 players, as you're going to need 2 team captains, but there are actually rules for this game to be played for as little as 2 players, where you sort of play against the game in a way. The 2 and 3 player mode is a nice addition to the game, but I'm going to be focusing on sort of the 2 team party game review portion of this. Each team has a sort of a captain, or whatever you want to call it. One's in charge of the blue team and one's in charge of the red team, and you're trying to look for your secret agents on the board. The secret agents are based on this grid here that only the team captains can see. It corresponds to this grid of words out here. And basically, you're trying to focus your team on picking the right word based on where your agents are on this grid. Now, to do that, you give them one word and a number. So if you look at all the words on here, you might say, oh, ambulance and hospital, they sort of relate to each other. So you might say Doctor 2. And that would lead the people to look at this and go, oh, which words relate to Doctor 2, assuming that was part of your grid. Once you pick a correct word, if they guess it, you put your agent on there, and eventually the board fills out with these, and you'll eventually find all your agents. Whoever finds them first wins. So let's move on to components. The components are okay. It's very basic. The art is basic. There's not much to it. And sometimes I like that. I like the idea that somebody can make a game with basic art and it can thrive and be fun. That being said, it's a little cheap. The cards, they're not great card stock quality. These punch-outs are kind of not the thickest ever, but they work. This whole thing, it all works together. As far as the box goes, it's kind of one of those boxes where everything sits in there loose and the cards spill all over the place. So there's always that little moment of having to kind of pick up everything when you open the box up. So in that regard, I am going to give this game 4 stars for the components. They work, everything is fine, but because of the couple of nuances, I'm going to drop it down a little bit. For learning curve, this game is pretty easy to pick up and play. It doesn't take too much explaining. It's one of those games you kind of have to start playing, and you just, you understand it once you start going. Now, there's a little bit of, it's one of those games that has leeway in the rules. What can you say? What word can you say or can't you say? It's definitely open for interpretation. It's a party social type game, so it works for this. But because of that, I'm going to give it also 4 stars for the learning curve. It's pretty easy, but because of some of the leeway in the rules and things, I'm going to have to drop it a little bit. Fun factor. Well, for fun factor, I'm just going to dive in and I'm going to give it 5 stars because it's pretty fun. It's a fun game to play. Like previously, I reviewed Mysterium, and it plays with a similar concept where you're trying to guide the other players into figuring something out based on this board or grid of words here. In Mysterium, you did it by pictures, and in this game, you do it by words. It's a quick, fast-paced party game. You can, the games last, it says 15 minutes on the box. they're over pretty quickly. You can set it up and play it again relatively quickly. Overall, generally, I think it's a fun game, and that's why I'm giving it 5 stars. So the overall grade for Codenames is going to be an A. It's not the best game in the world. It has a few shortcomings. It's pretty basic in a lot of ways, the art and different things, but that's all sort of overshadowed by if you have a fun group to play it with, it's a fun game to play. But, you know, it just depends on the group you're playing with. Overall, it's a fun party game and something different to play than, say, apples to apples. That all being said, let me know in the comments below if you've played this or if there's any other games I should try out. And as always, subscribe to my channel, like, share, comment, all that kind of stuff, and keep YouTubing it up.